We got some huge wins in chat. I like to see this.
Awesome. I had a good idea too. When we were in New York and you got caught on the train and never made it and had to turn around.
Thank you. Go on.
That wasn't the good idea. I didn't talk to someone telling them to lay trees down on the tracks. But like, we should all rent a house for a weekend, right? And then have some of it filmed. And one of my ideas, like obviously we'd sweat bets the whole time, but one of my ideas is like, it's a place that has a grill or a Blackstone or something like that. And we provide you with all of the ingredients. Hold on, to cook a meal, but no real direction, just what you need. And then people get to experience you trying to cook like a full meal for everybody on the grill.
Yeah, that sounds like a terrible idea. I will say I've had a lot of.
That would do so. You know how well that would do, because
it's dangerous.
What do you mean it's dangerous?
Flames. I don't deal with that. I will say though, one of my better ideas, I've had a lot of them.
Oh yeah, especially on this show.
Cooking with the Stars how is that not a show? Like Dancing with the Stars, you get 10 celebrities, you pair them with like a chef and they have to like make food each week. That's a show. That's literally a genius show.
This is exactly what I want you to do, except
I know. Fine, you want to call me a star? I'll be
absolutely. And I want to document you trying to cook. Dude, I would even make it simple. Like if there's a Blackstone, you got to make cheesesteaks. Like you know what I mean? You had the meat, the cheese, the onions.
We need stuff that you can eat. Like we can't do anything like chicken because like then I could just kill everybody. You need something where it's like you can eat it raw. It would just be unpleasant.
Well, cheesesteak, you couldn't mess up cooking it. You couldn't mess up I'm talking like if anything.
You don't understand who you're talking to. You don't.
I do.
No, you don't, obviously.
All right. Anyway, hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back. It's the First Look Strategy Show right here on the Stokastic YouTube channel. Week one. Woo. I mean, week one is always an interesting one for sure. I can say this much. Betting wise, I took some lumps early on the spreads early with some of those dogs. Hit some big long shots in the Discord, man. 10-1 on Mike Evans, a plus 604 parlay, anytime touchdown. Jamison Williams, Cooper Kupp on Sunday night. Barkley plus 420 to go 100 plus. And that salvaged me because DFS and just betting sides, which I don't even know why I do, wasn't that good. But you know what? You come out on top in any way from like betting and DFS. If you're combining them, I'll take that in week one with such a wild week.
Yeah, it was kind of a little topsy-turvy week. I avoided punishment at every turn, which was really nice. Like when I would miss props, would hit a side. Like last night,
right?
I had the under, no good. But Breece Hall, really good with the receptions. You know, for the Lions game, had the Lions, was fortunate there. Couldn't get my anytime touchdown for Laporta. And then I did a fun round robin anytime touchdown scoring parlay for my Discord.
I know.
3 for 4 will get you a nice little payout. So like you said, all in all, my goal for the whole year is always to tread water and give myself chances. I had a bunch of chances this week, just like everyone, throwing lotto tickets in, some medium to higher stake stuff as well. Do it all again next week. I was pretty happy with it all, and I'll use the post-contest sim to make sure I didn't do anything really stupid, and it graded out really nicely.
For sure. And you know what? The moral of the story here is diversify, right? Like in all seriousness, you diversify across everything. Like, you know, the large majority of my bets every week are going to be straight bets, but I always want to put myself, I love the way you put it, right? You always say, you love betting, but you also love to gamble.
Oh yeah.
But I don't even think like, I also think in football, there are some just good value propositions out there, right? Like you and I, we didn't hit it yesterday. We didn't even get to bet it because they pulled it, but we were looking at the alt rushing totals for Deebo Samuel, and the odds were crazy on that before FanDuel pulled it. he didn't hit the 50 we were looking for. Wouldn't have mattered anyway because they pulled it. Like those type of things at 6-1, there are really good, like big plus money bets out there in the NFL.
So just philosophically, then we can dive into it. And I want to definitely highlight, I see multiple people in chat dropping super chats to celebrate their monster wins.
Oh, we will get there. We will get
we
there.
will get there. But one of the few advantages, and there's not many, with NFL betting, it's extremely sharp and extremely efficient, but it's extremely popular. And that means the books are forced to make markets on markets. You can bet the most granular markets. And every time they line a new market, there's a chance they screw it up. Like when I bet random college football, some of the games, it's spread in total.
Yeah.
That's it. This is
that's preseason football for the most part as well.
They want to protect themselves.
Maybe like a first quarter and a first half line. That's it.
And it's like, this is like, will Jordan Mason do a spin move on the fourth drive after they call timeout? Like plus 330. And it's like, what? Like they have the most obscene markets.
It's crazy.
You can dig and find like you were saying, you and me were talking. We were like, man, Debo's going to get, and to our credit, Debo had 8 carries in the first half. He was able to do nothing with them. That was a weird market though. Debo alt rushing yards. Like,
and you'll take that even if we bet that, which we couldn't and lost, I'd take that 10 times out of 10.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the results are, no one loves to hear that, but in DFS and for betting, the results are relevant. It's all about, 100%. Are you putting yourself in good position? So all in all, like I said, I was pretty happy with it. There was some definitely bad. Certainly Jošević was a very crazy situation.
Will you stop, Jošević? You and Greg talking like he's an Eastern European NBA player.
What? Say it again.
Where are you getting Jošević from?
I was talking to someone the other day on Sunday. It was Buddy, and they were like, "How do you say this guy's name?" And I was like, "Oh, Jošević." But I'm just copying what I heard on the shows. Like
what? Jošević.
Jošević. Okay. Good for him.
Or Jošević. Yeah. Andre Jošević.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
You said Jošević. You're talking like he's out there with Luka and Nikola.
He might be. How do you know? You know anything about this guy?
I know how to pronounce his last name.
Well, that's good. I don't know. I don't know a lot about him. I know a little. That's about it.
I had none of him on Sunday. Like, can I just say, and by the way, happy to have you guys with us. We love doing this show every single day, or every week. Little bit of an intro here as always, because it's like you have to recap the previous week. We don't have a Monday show anymore, so this is what it's here for. And also the first look at every slate upcoming. So a blend of everything. And we'll get to these super chats. By the way, if you don't mind, atone for your sins this morning, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Comments are open. We fixed this. I had to bitch and moan for us to get this fixed. And finally, we do. Anyway, I don't know how I didn't have a big week when I had, first of all, some of the chalkiest players that didn't hit, I was super underweight on. And both of us were also super overweight on Tampa. You know, I will play any team against Washington any time of the week. Wait till I get to Daniel Jones for week 2. You're going to hate me. Ton of Tampa, and it just didn't matter.
No, I was the same way. Now, some of that was I screwed up with McLaurin. I didn't realize that Washington drafted a quarterback who can't throw the ball well. He literally can't throw the ball. So that's a problem.
That was bad.
The whole week was a disgrace. Like this just proves that there should be mandatory preseason games, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, it was really bad. I think there were like 21 or 31 passing touchdowns in week 1, which is just insane.
I mean, there were a lot of quarterbacks flirting with the bonus, the 100-yard bonus if they had that. Like just horrendous performances. But yeah, I mean, all in all, first of all, the slate itself, like the winning scores for even large field GPPs was very low. Like there weren't that monster, Mixon was big, and even Tyreek, he had a very nice game, but there was no like, oh, this guy got 50 out there last week.
No, not at all. And you know, Cooper Kupp wasn't on the main slate.
Nope.
Jamison Williams wasn't on the main slate. So a lot, because Jamison would have been pretty cheap if he was on
Yeah,
the main
Jaden
slate.
Reed would have
Oh,
obviously.
Jaden Reed, Rashi Rice, Isaiah Likely.
Yep,
That's a good call. You look at all, not all of them, but Jordan Mason, obviously, but a lot of those primetime games had some of the highest scores of the week.
absolutely.
Ready to get to these super chats and get in the week 2?
Let's do it.
Huge beats. Actually, yeah, he tweeted us earlier today. Maybe it was last night or this morning. I don't know. I woke up and I saw it. And for some reason it got filtered out and someone responded to it is how I saw it. But huge beats. Appreciate you, man. $50 super chat. Good morning, fellas. Took down first place last night in the 15 single entry and won 10K. And it's all thanks to you guys and the great work you do. Really appreciate it. Amazing, man. Yeah, Ben, he took down 10K. And I was reading the tweet. He said, needless to say, that $1 promotion was the best investment I ever made. Thank you to the gang for all the hard work put in every day. Hands down, the best DFS sports content on YouTube. I have atoned for my sins, my man. But yeah, I mean, a $1 promo turning into 10K is just
That'll work.
unthinkable.
It happens. I mean, literally, it happens. Really cool. Yeah, we had a couple of them. Like I said, Mike as well said, "Good morning. Just wanted to say thanks. I took third in the $3.20 max last night for what is that 12.5K using
12.5K, yeah.
Yeah.
Using your tools. Thanks for all you do. Awesome. Mike with a Y. Interesting.
Yeah. And he also said, nice, a Stokastic member won first in that same contest. So it's just there. A lot of awesome things, a lot of inductees into the Hall of Fame, hopefully incoming. It's just really good momentum for week 1. And we're just getting started. So really exciting to see that, though. There's no better feeling than when people are like, hey, I watched what you did and it helped. And the tools that you guys are talking about actually made a difference. That's really great to hear.
The tools work. Good Vibes Studio said didn't work for me. The football, man, it didn't work for me either. It's going to work for people. You're not going to cash. You're not going to have a big cash every week. It's just the way it, what's up?
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I would really encourage, check the post contest sim. Because like there's a difference between it didn't work for me and I did what I could control and it didn't work, and it didn't work for me. I have to maybe try to improve my process, because those are two totally different scenarios. Some of my lineups, I'm thrilled with what I did. Some of the other ones, it shouldn't have worked for me. They just weren't good enough lineups.
Yep. Yeah, same thing with some of the reads on a few bets I had. Like they just weren't good reads.
Yeah, but the Giants. So there's no.
What'd you say?
I said I bet the Giants, so we could start there.
So I bet the Giants money line, dude. I liked the Giants. I thought they could win that game.
They didn't. They didn't win the game. Saw it with my own eyes for a little while.
Embarrassing disgrace. But anyway, Steven, I'm not going over the Millie lineup again. We don't have enough time. The guy won a Millie. It's great. And you should be, a single, but no, come on, it's not a good lineup. There's so many people that go, no, what do you mean it wasn't a good lineup? It won. That doesn't mean it wasn't. This isn't any hate. It was an objectively awful lineup. And people take this, be like, oh, you're bitter. It's not about being like, are we not allowed to tell the truth anymore? Is this what 2024 now, Ben? We're not allowed to tell the truth anymore.
Yeah. I am bitter, but not about that.
I'm saying a lineup like that, it won. But never in a million years do you build something like that. Like you would never get there. I could give you, how they say, like, if you gave
unlimited lineups, and I never would have made that lineup.
Right. Like the whole chimps being able to type like Shakespeare's work or something, you know what I'm talking about? Like if you gave them
vaguely,
if you gave them an infinite amount of time and a typewriter, eventually they would end up, which seems insane anyway. Like you could give me an infinite amount of time and I'd never come up with that. So it is what it is. You're just like, I don't think anything's ever getting there. But anyway, let's talk about it. I want to wait one more week to do the rankings, actually. I think
it's 1 week.
Yeah, I think we go one more week. Right now, I would put the Chiefs up top and probably San Fran up there with them again. But the Chiefs, I think, are on an island right now.
It's one. I mean, I thought most of the good teams, for better or they looked pretty good. I thought that the Lions got through it. I thought that the Cowboys got through it pretty nicely. Niners look good. Baltimore, I think, looked fine. They
I
lost a
do
tough
too.
competitive game. They'll be all right. I don't have real takeaways. It was 1 week of football. Everyone overreacts. Everyone's declaring everything, and then it's gonna flip. The Bengals lost the Survivor. That was my big takeaway. Survivor, half the pool is dead already. If you had the Bengals.
I'm not shocked that the Bengals lost that game at all. I bet the under on their implied total on their point total, but I'm not surprised. They start slow and I don't know. Every year they seem to just suck out of the gate. I think it's still shocking. It's still pretty surprising that they lost by what, 8 as well or something.
It was not a good game, obviously.
Israel said Neighbors was not good. I mean, Danny Dimes was not good. Neighbors himself, I don't know. It's a perfect segue into this because, yeah, because I'm getting back to Neighbors and the Giants this week. I didn't
Okay.
stack the Giants. The only New York player I had last or on Sunday was Neighbors, but I will
Same.
go. You too, yeah.
Yep.
I'll go back to the well. I really will. Neighbors played 100% of snaps. I'll do it. Let's talk about it. You ready?
Let's do it.
Oh, wait. Goblin of the week. Quickly. Goblin of the week. Got to be done.
You want to go first or you want to go second?
There it is. Goblin of the week presented by Brandon Staley. I'll go first. Sure.
Oh,
Dave Canales and the entire Carolina Panthers team.
God damn it. You took mine. Go ahead.
That was it. I mean, we could always go with Daniel Jones. You have all off season to get
No, I got
to
another one.
improve. And I know Brian Burns is gone and everything, but like to come out and be down 30-3 or whatever it was at halftime, top to bottom, that is one of the most disgraceful week 1 performances I think you're ever going to see. I could talk about the Tennessee Titans losing when Caleb
Here
Williams,
we go.
threw for less than 100 yards. That is preposterous. And I bet the Titans, that is one where I did not have the wrong read. Caleb Williams sucked and it just didn't work. They were up like 17-0. We could go on and on, Ben, but Carolina belongs up there for this week.
Yeah, Carolina, let me be clear. I don't want to get labeled. I don't think that it's impossible that Bryce Young is fine and actually okay and decent and it's not a disaster. That position is being eroded very quickly, super quickly.
You're saying he might just not be in the league soon. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying after last year, I was like, listen, he had a bad year on a bad team. It's 1 year, relax. Like, get him some help, he'll get better. That didn't look better, that looked worse. That was terrible. So do I think it's over? No, but he's trending in the very wrong direction, as is the Titans. I was going to go to the Browns because they're a disgrace, but they're so irrelevant at times. I'm not even going to waste my time with that. You should never, full stop, permanent statement. You should never, ever, ever, ever lose a game if you don't allow an offensive touchdown.
That's it. One offensive touchdown for the Bears in that game.
They scored 24 points. What are you doing? Like, there's just no excuse for that. You should never lose a game like that. That's just mass stupidity. They had every chance and then some to win that game, and they complete user error. I don't think that the Titans are going to be when we stack up the Goblin rankings, I would expect the Titans to be on there like once or twice for the whole year. So it's going to be an outlier. I don't think they're a completely stupid team. That's a dumb way to start your season, though. There is no excuse for losing that game
at all. That's a good one. And we could have gone on and on about this, but Gabriel said he still has no help. Y'all be acting like he has the team Stroud has. He's talking about Bryce Young. No, Bryce Young stinks, dude. I was willing to give him a shot. What's that?
I agree with that, though. I do.
In what sense? I mean, you still have to be modestly competitive.
Well, that was my position. I agree he has no help, and I think that he needs to have a chance. But you got to be at least somewhat competent. I mean, that was non-competitive style.
Clearly doesn't have the Stroud help. Clearly.
Like Caleb Williams. Like Caleb Williams should be better than the other rookie quarterbacks, regardless if he's better or not, because he's got a sick team around him.
Yeah. Yeah. Real sick. And the defense bailed him out. Look, I think you can give Bryce Young a pass sometimes, but like you at least have to make some throws, is what I'm saying. Like, you have to make some throws, right? I mean, is that unfair? You have to make, you have to do, you have to go out there and at least compete with a, like, I don't know. It's not good. Anyway,
Very bad. Go ahead. Let's get into it.
let's go. Quarterbacks. I'll tell you, this is actually one of these slates where I don't think there's a lot at the bottom. There's two guys that I'm looking at, sub 6K. We'll break the tiers down, Ben. 7K and up, and then 5 to 7K range for mid tier, low tier, anything below 6K. Up top, you have Lamar in a good spot against the Raiders. I think this could end up being a Derrick Henry game, if we're being honest. I still like Lamar in this spot. A lot of people were high on the Raiders winning this game against the Chargers. One of the spots I was right on, that Jim Harbaugh is not losing that game at home, and he didn't. And J.K. Dobbins popped off. And then you have Patrick Mahomes against the Bengals in what I think could be a really good game. Don't expect to see the Bengals nearly as bad as they were last week. There's only really two high top tier guys in that 7 and up range. No massive separation there. I don't know how much I love either of those guys. Probably Lamar, but yeah, probably Lamar over Mahomes, just given the rushing upside.
Yep, it would be Lamar over Mahomes for me as well. Just he looked pretty content to pull it down and run. I don't know what to expect from Cincinnati, but Lamar makes a lot of sense. It's going to be, there's a lot of names here. Richardson had an insane throw. That was the best pass I saw all week. What an incredible athlete he is.
Yeah.
Then we'll get down to Kyler and co. But if you want to just focus on the big two, we'll call them, it would be Lamar over Mahomes for me. Not particularly close.
Mitchell had a few deep targets too from Richardson, and Richardson just missed them. Like Richardson could have had a mammoth game. Huge. Could have had a huge game. You're referring to that one against to Alec Pierce, which is a beautiful throw. Ridiculous. Only threw 19 times. Jonathan Taylor played almost every snap in that game against Houston. 2-point loss. Good game. What do you make of Richardson? What's that?
Nothing. Sorry. Go ahead.
What do you make of Richardson in this spot where it feels like they might want to limit his passing attempt? I don't think they necessarily want to limit his passing attempts, but will they just be able to limit his passing attempts this week, knowing that Jordan Love in this spot is like I know he's not officially ruled out, but he's not playing. Like there's no way Jordan Love plays in this game. So it's Malik Willis over Sean Clifford, assuming Love is out, and I am assuming he's out. I mean, I just don't know if I'm completely convinced, because first of all, I don't have any faith in Malik Willis. I don't think Malik Willis is very good at all. So do we see kind of limited passing volume from Richardson again?
It's definitely possible. So you could take it, I think, a couple different directions. One, he was pretty damn good last week.
Yeah.
And he only threw 19. It can't get much worse. You're not going to go lower than that. So you say, okay, if he gives me another 20 to 25 at 6.8, I'll take the game from last week. Now, he did have 6 carries for 56 yards and a touchdown. That's what did it. Let's say he throws 30 times. Now we're getting into serious volume. So I get it. My biggest problem for him as we work down a little is I really like Kyler. That's going to be a popular spot, but it should be, in my opinion.
How good is Kyler at keeping plays alive, man? I saw him do it so many times last week. He made a couple mistakes. He had Marvin Harrison Jr. wide open on one late in that game, turned it over on downs. there were a few spots where, and for what it's worth, Kyler Murray only threw for 162 yards. On paper, it's not going to look good at all, but he really did keep a lot of plays alive. Now you go up against this Rams team that doesn't have that same pressure on the defensive line. That's, no more Aaron Donald, not a bad secondary. By the way, I think I still like Richardson here. I'm just pointing to the passing volume because I think there will be days where they don't need to pass a lot with Jonathan Taylor. Hopefully Richardson still uses his legs. I assume he will. Green Bay does still have a good defense, should stay close. But you have Richardson, Kyler, Burrow. The 6K range, you would think for a 13-game slate would be better. So walk us through this, because when I look at a Jared Goff, I go, man, I love the shootout potential in this game. But I don't like Jared Goff's inability to run, and the fact that they can absolutely just use Jahmyr Gibbs and, mainly David Montgomery in the run game. Like, is the ceiling capped on Goff in a spot like this? Jaden Daniels is north of 6K. He ran and had some garbage time opportunities that kind of padded his stat line. Wasn't great. Brock Purdy's not a guy that's going to run often. I don't love that. Matthew Stafford's just going to, I would rather just play Cooper Kupp instead of Matthew Stafford. And I love Cooper Kupp this week. Dak Prescott is what do you do in this 6K to 7K range?
It's definitely crowded. There's no doubt about it. So for Goff, I'd actually argue that the floor is more impacted than the ceiling, just because there's going to be games where the Lions do some weird stuff, but when they want to, I think he still has 40 attempt upside. And in a game like this, it could be one of those. He's got ample receivers. So I like Goff. I like Kyler. Hardest one for me is Daniels, because it's one game, but there is a chance that this is something that I've struggled with, and I think at times it can be tricky. You don't have to be good to be a great DFS quarterback. There's correlation, but it's not a 1-to-1. Like, you could be terrible and be an awesome DFS quarterback. And I'm not saying that he's terrible, but even if he has a very ineffective game, he can be really good, as we saw last week. He was awful in that game, and he was amongst points per dollar, he was probably the best quarterback, was he not? He had to be. Daniels.
I was working out some stuff on the back end with Jordan to do our tiers. Again, I forgot about the positional tiers. At the end of each position, remember we give our top play at each tier?
Oh yeah, I know. It's week 2. We're working out the.
Yeah, but no, we'll definitely do it, because no, he was the best, I think, right? Yeah,
that's what I mean.
It was him and Richardson, I think, that were the two best.
Yeah, and he was cheaper than Richardson, and he scored more points. So just for that, he's in play. If I had to rank them, we can get right to it. Lamar for my top tier. I'm going to go with Kyler, but the 6K range, I can make a case for 4 of them.
What if I did this? What if I did a tier break at
6.5, 6.3?
Yeah, I was gonna say the Murray range, so above Jordan Love 6'6". How about that? Does that make it easier?
It would, just because I'm not saying that you can't pay way down. You couldn't go to a Daniel Jones. You couldn't go to a Trevor Lawrence. But for me, just knowing what this looks like, my quote unquote pay down is going to be Matthew Stafford this week.
Okay. So give me your favorite top tier. If we're going Murray and above, is it going to be Murray?
It is.
All right. For me, it's Anthony Richardson. Just the rushing upside there. And like you said, you can't get any lower than 19 pass attempts, I don't think.
No, you can't.
Mid-range, I honestly think it's going to be Jaden Daniels for me. You could make an argument for Goff, just given that Tampa, I don't have a ton of faith in them. You could make an argument for a few guys here. It's going to be Jaden Daniels at 6,200. I think, if as long as he's out there, I don't really care if they win or lose, and I don't care if the production comes in garbage time, but I don't think it will. We saw how bad that Giants secondary was. They are dog shit.
Yeah, listen, that's the easy case to make. I'm going to go with Goff, just to kind of give it a little difference. And I want to see Tampa's secondary. I do have some questions about, we didn't get those questions answered because of Washington, not because Tampa's secondary is just automatically good now.
I'm with you. And hey, Mello Bella said, wow, neither of you picked Lamar. Here's the only reason I didn't pick Lamar. I would assume that you and I are going to be on identical pages here. Lamar's awesome. Okay. And last week, 122 rushing yards. Just, he was the number one quarterback, by the way, but not on the main slate. The only reason for this is I just think the game script looks different. And I think you could see a massive dose of Derrick Henry this week. Derrick Henry's pretty cheap. So if I can say, all right, I'll get down to another running quarterback that's going to take off a lot. Jaden Daniels ran 16 times for 88 yards last game with 2 touchdowns, really on par with Lamar Jackson for that rushing upside. Great matchup. And, they're going to need him no matter what. That's really the only reason, is that the price break from few of these guys, with Lamar being so much more expensive than all of them.
I have zero pushback on Lamar. I like Lamar. There's a chance I'm over on Lamar. I'm definitely using him. The difference though, to me, just right off the bat between the two, the Ravens are 8.5 to 9.5 point favorite at home.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good for Lamar's rushing upside. That's bad.
Exactly,
That's very bad.
It's
Washington
great for Derrick Henry's rushing upside.
Dude, that kills Lamar. Washington is never going to be, you don't have to worry about them being decisive favorites ever. So that to me is a tougher ask.
Yep. And no, Mello, no one's saying 90 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns can be banked on at all. No. I think what we're saying at that price, when you have that ability, that can be banked on, just the overall ability to get it done. I hate the sub 6K range, Ben. I have 2 players. That's it. I have 2 guys. If you'd like to guess who they are, I'm happy to listen.
Sub 6K?
Sub 6K, I only have 2 players.
Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And Baker.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. I throw in Trevor Lawrence for me, but
against Cleveland?
Yeah, Cleveland. They didn't look exactly like a juggernaut.
Nah, I mean, well, to be fair, Dak averaged like 5.5 yards per attempt.
Yeah, he didn't have to do anything though, because it was. I'm not gonna ride Trevor Lawrence. They talk about giving a game away. They could have been a Goblin of the week. They gave the game away.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Also, Deshaun Watson. I know I said this last week, but that I have zero faith in this guy. I have even less faith than I had last week in Deshaun. And people want to make the argument, which is fine. Oh, well, his offensive line was banged up. I watched every pass, even every drop back, even with a clean pocket. He was wildly inaccurate.
Yeah, he's just not good.
He just might be toast.
Yeah, he sucks.
Yeah. Give me. So by the way, I love going to Baker. Oh, wait. No, Baker was the number 1.
That makes me even angrier.
Me too, because I was so overweight on him. Baker was the number 1. If this develops into a shootout, Baker could just look really good. And he has the weapons. Jalen McMillan played more snaps than any other receiver in that game for Tampa. But like I said, I was on the Mike Evans 2+ touchdowns, which was great. Got that late in the game before they iced it away. I think I'll go all the way down to the bottom here and gross people out. Daniel Jones, it's disgusting. I understand it. This Washington defense, I'm not sure even Joe Witt and Dan Quinn can salvage it, at least not early in the season. I think there is upside here. I understand it. It's disgusting. But if everyone is off of Daniel Jones, I'm going to do it. I'm going to have some Danny Jones. Wan'Dale Robinson had 12 targets last week. He's 4,300. Malik Neighbors has 5,900. He's elite already, in my opinion, from that. At that price point, he's just still underpriced. Give me Daniel Jones. I'm going to do it. And Theo Johnson played 86% of snaps at tight end with 4 targets. There are pieces there, as gross as you guys may feel with me saying this.
I get it. I totally get it. If I was going to take a complete, long shot, if obviously he would need to start, I'll go with Fields. 14 carries. He was fine. He's always got that slate breaking upside. No one's going to play him at 54 in Denver. It's not the best matchup in the world, but he can coexist there. Those are just if you're looking to be different though. Pricing is pretty soft. I'm more paying up at quarterback.
Yep. Okay. Steven said you can also look at the idea that Daniel Jones can cure the Commanders defense. 100%. But Steven, you've been around here long enough. You know that the way football works is, if you're going to take a shot at it, like we're well aware that Daniel Jones could have a terrible game. And, in all likelihood, he's not great. But if he is and he gets the better end of this matchup with these receivers that are dirt cheap and he's dirt cheap, matter of fact, Ben, not to belabor the point here, but let's just say that Daniel Jones has a decent game with those guys. What you're able to do with the rest of the lineup is pretty insane, right? Wan'Dale Robinson, Malik Neighbors, and Daniel Jones. And let's just say you plug in a defense at like 20, say you plug in, Denver versus Pittsburgh or whatever, 2,800, that's 60 plus, more than 6,300 per player remaining. It's a lot.
Definitely. I mean, we're going to see that as we move to running back about like, you could probably go get 2 of them with that type of build. So I see it. It's all an opportunity cost, and it's early in the week. Value will open up. We have to see what's up with McCaffrey. That's looming over the whole slate already.
Yeah. And we were corrected. Josh Allen was the highest scorer of the week. So who's it going to be next? Well, we really just should have looked up highest scoring fantasy production so we could have avoided this. But
Josh Allen at least was expensive though. Points per dollar, it was not Josh Allen. That I know for certain.
Definitely not. How about running backs? I love the 6K range so much this week. It is so good.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot there. I'm trying to look above that. Above that, I guess Breece Hall would probably be the guy for me at 74.
Breece Hall, also Jonathan Taylor. I know he was disappointing in his first game, but if I were to tell you that, okay, you're paying up, but also Malik Willis is on the other side, so you could just see a ton of run volume, and that Jonathan Taylor played 43 of 45 snaps last week, 96% of snaps. Trey Sermon was the only other back to see the field, 2 snaps for Trey Sermon. If Jonathan Taylor is, not just a bell cow, Ben, not just a 3-down back, but literally an every down, like every snap back, that's to me like the ceiling game potential when you're playing every snap of a game and you're going up against a team that doesn't have a functioning quarterback. There's a lot to like there for me.
There is no doubt. There's a lot to not like. It's an interesting situation. Like I don't
Richardson.
Richardson obviously can take some of that. He also had no targets, which I have a feeling is partly indicative of Richardson's in trouble. Oh, let's dump it off to the running back. No, I'll just run because I can. That's tough. Now, touchdown equity's through the roof here. No doubt about it. If you told me who's the most likely person to score on this slate, Derrick Henry, Taylor, like he's up there. So I get it, but I'm with you. The 6K range from Pacheco, Henry, Gibbs, Connor, even Jacobs, you'd assume he'll be crazy busy. Stevenson quietly had a really good game against Cincy. He had 25 carries and 3. Whew, that's a lot of volume.
I'm glad you mentioned Josh Jacobs because on the other side of this game, I totally agree. There's something there. Josh Jacobs is probably going to see, and I don't even care if Marshawn Lloyd is back. My guess is that he's not involved heavily anyway. Jacobs saw 19 total looks, 18 touches. It wasn't the most efficient game. He was fine. He was fine. He was fine. He had that 32-yard run, which kind of helped. But on both sides of this game, the snap counts are pretty significant. So yeah, Josh Jacobs at 6,500. You mentioned Pacheco, true every down back right now in Kansas City. And I'm not buying into that Cincinnati defense right now either.
No, Pacheco's a player. I'm just a big fan of him as a player.
He runs hard on every single play too. He's just
Even
relentless.
Kyron's in the middle of this as well. And, with Puka hurt, gonna be even busier. So there's a lot that you can do here. I could go on and on. The list goes on and on. You're not gonna find many bad options in the 6K range this week. I'll have lineups with 2 or even 3 of them.
It is really loaded. It is. I mean, you mentioned Kyron, 91% of snaps last week. Kyron got all, and that's a tough matchup. It's a really tough matchup. The Lions have one of the best defensive lines, one of the best run defenses in football. And now it's Arizona. Like, this is a far better matchup for Kyron Williams. Just how much better is this matchup than last week than Sunday? Yeah.
Totally, and that's the beauty of week 2. Like you're most people are just, oh, like this is who the guy is. Full stop. It's just like not, there's a lot of nuance into 1 week.
What about Derrick Henry? Game script went against him last game. And we know that, he's not going to be involved as a pass catcher, but there's also legit 3 touchdown upside in a spot like this for Henry. That's what I keep coming back to.
There definitely is. I honestly think that Derrick Henry might be a better bet him to score multiple touchdowns.
Totally agree.
Because
totally agree.
You're just not getting much else. And he could score 2 touchdowns. And with the opportunity cost, he could be solid, but not slate breaking.
You're 100% right. And you put it like this, right? If this were a different slate, Derrick Henry might look a lot better. But we just mentioned, Isaiah Pacheco is playing 80+% of snaps, is the primary pass catching back as well. Kyron Williams, 90+ snaps last game, primary pass catching back. I mean, you could even make that argument for James Conner at 6,400, right? He's going to play 70+% of snaps. We saw him involved on basically every play in that first drive. There's a few guys in this range that are just going to be Josh Jacobs involved on pretty much every play or out there on every play. As much as I like the Henry upside from a touchdown perspective, there's the overall volume in both phases of the offense favors Pacheco, favors Kyron, favors Josh Jacobs, favors Connor. Kenneth Walker, if he's healthy, should still, in a good spot, but I don't know if he's even going to play. All of those guys, probably excluding Kenneth Walker, but those other 4 guys, I think, look better than Derrick Henry this week.
I agree. And for that reason, again, I think there's just different ways to structure some of that exposure. So for me, favorite running back, I'm actually going to go with Kyron.
If we get decent odds on this, and always shop around books for touchdown props, because they can be like that Mike Evans 2 touchdown one that I grabbed at 10-1, moved to 10-1, was plus 600 on Caesars.
Yeah, very wild.
Yeah, what a difference. If we get good number there, we'll reconvene on Sunday and talk about it. Obviously try and bet it earlier when they come out, but Derrick Henry 2+ touchdowns could be a really good spot this week.
Absolutely. Again, I'm very on board with that type of structure for a guy like Derrick Henry.
Who's your top tier?
I'm going to go with Kyron Williams. The matchup.
No, that's got to be mid tier.
Okay. I get one above him?
Yeah. The 7K break. Yeah.
I'll go Breece Hall.
Okay.
I just think that Breece Hall, obviously, he's got home run ability when he touches the ball. He had 6 targets, 16 carries. Unlike Richard, like you want to talk about Jonathan Taylor and Richardson, Rodgers is the most opposite of that. He's getting the ball out immediately. There's no chance he's running. Breece Hall is going to be busy. And against Tennessee, who I don't really know, I thought they looked pretty good in some areas. The Jets, they're going to have to lean on Wilson and Hall for these wins. Like, I wouldn't be stunned to see 25 touches for him this week.
I agree with everything you just said. It's Breece Hall for me as well. We talked more about Taylor than Breece Hall, but the biggest difference is no rushing upside in Aaron Rodgers. You're 100% right. I love Breece. Look, I told you yesterday when we were actually on a call together. It was like 7 o'clock. I was like, I'm betting the under on Braylon Allen right now on rushing yards. And he had 1 rush for 8 yards in garbage time, which is actually great because if he didn't see the field, I assume they would have voided that. So.
Oh, definitely. That was like Mike Williams yesterday. Not to go back. Mike Williams, I knew he was on a pitch count, but man, not even.
Yeah.
Why was he even active?
Crazy. But my point in saying that is not to victory lap a straight bet on a player prop, is to say that I went into it with expectations that Breece Hall was going to get all of the work. And had that game been competitive, he would have gotten absolutely everything. Everything. The only reason he didn't was because late in the game it didn't actually matter.
Yeah, I am with you.
Yeah. Real quick. Let's see. Breece Hall. Breece Hall played 42 snaps. Aaron Rodgers played 38, which means Breece Hall was out there for a little bit. I had a hockey game last night at 9:40, so I missed some of this game. Someone who watched it may be able to tell me. It sounds like Breece Hall was probably out there for every snap.
Basic. I watched the game not that intently, but Breece Hall, I know Lazard fell in the end zone twice, but there were two players for the Jets last night. You had Wilson on the outside and you had Breece Hall doing everything. And I don't see how that changes. It's not anything the Niners did. That's just who the Jets are.
Yep. I love Kyron, but we got to mix it up since we both had the same one up top. I'll go Pacheco here. I think that's a great spot.
And honestly, this is why I kind of like Breece Hall. Chat, sorry you're not running on the Titans defense. I don't even disagree with that. I don't think Breece Hall needs to run particularly well on the Titans defense. He needs to just get in space, and he can absolutely do that. Like, I'm not playing him for 4 yards a carry, and he's just going to slowly churn them down. Give me 8 to 10 chances with him on the edge, and he's going to break a 60-yard run, or a swing pass, and I'll live with that. If he doesn't, I lose. I can live with that.
I agree. And look, I have a lot of respect for that Tennessee defense as well. But I think it's easy also to ignore the fact that, yes, the Jets defense did not look very good yesterday. They went up against a juggernaut, right? And Kyle Shanahan played the old 4D chess by essentially ruling McCaffrey out long before this game ever started and not announcing it until an hour and a half prior. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that with the Jordan Mason comments, that whole thing I felt bad for him. That's not his fault at all.
That he said that?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're going to get fined for that?
I don't know if he's going to get fined, more that it's pretty clear that the team was not thrilled that he said that. And you could tell in his second press conference that he had gotten quite a talking to.
Yeah. Yeah. A verbal lashing. So what I was saying though, is that, with Tennessee, it's tough to run on them, but this could be a spot where their offense just cannot orchestrate anything. And Breece Hall, like 25 touches is not out of, like, okay, here's a fun one, Ben, and then we'll move on to this lower tier. There's nothing there. Here's a fun one, and then talk wide receivers. If I asked you to set an over-under on Breece Hall opportunities, so rushing attempts plus targets, where are you putting it? It's above 20 for me.
23.5.
That's a huge number.
But it is. But are you just saying jam the under on that if that was a line?
No, I'm saying I don't care if the matchup is tough if we expect 25 or so opportunities.
I do.
I wouldn't jam the under on that. No.
Neither would I.
I'm saying it's a big number from a DFS standpoint. Yeah. The bottom tier sucks. I'd love to hear where you're going, because I have I only have 2 guys sub 6K that are interesting to me. Maybe you can turn my head on a few of these, but it's going to be, and maybe you'll throw Jerome Ford out there, something like that. I just have such little confidence in this Cleveland offense right now. Zach Charbonnet, obviously, if Walker's out. I don't want to guess between Robinson and Eckler. They split snaps, even though Robinson had more carries. That's gross. The whole Elliott situation with Rico Dowdle is disgusting. Just timeshares left and right. Zamir White against Baltimore. Zach Moss got most of the work last week. And they stunk. Tough matchup. Najee Harris against Denver and J.K. Dobbins against Carolina are the 2 spots I'm looking at. I still expect a timeshare with the Chargers, but I don't know, after seeing how explosive J.K. Dobbins was on Sunday, how you don't want to give this guy on a run-first offense more opportunities against the Panthers.
I agree, but everybody is going to do that, and there's going to
You
be,
think? You think he'll be
yeah,
chalky?
just because look at the names.
It's
Chuba
bad.
had 6 carries. People liked him last week. He did nothing. Javonte Williams had 8 carries. People kind of, I saw some talk about him. He did absolutely nothing. Dobbins averaged 13 and a half yards per carry. And I'm a big Dobbins guy. I like him. You have a dream matchup. I worry a little bit about it, but there's not much else down here. I think Singletary is in play. He had 10 carries and 5 targets. There are multiple ways to dice up Washington, and that could be a way. And then the one thing, I don't regret this, but we talked about this on Sunday. Tony Pollard can thrive in that offense even with Spears. He can. And I should have played him. I was going to, and then I didn't. Ultimately, it really wouldn't have mattered because running backs was pretty deep, but Tony Pollard's still in play.
The split with Tony Pollard and Spears suggested everything we heard in camp and through preseason is nonsense. Yeah, Tony Pollard is the number 1 there right now, hands down. So I hear you. I hear you. I think Najee has to be in play too, though.
God.
Sometimes the gross plays are viable. Denver's offense is just straight dink and dunk. Bo Nix averaged 3 yards per attempt against Seattle. Tough spot. But do you think the Steelers defense is any easier than Seattle for Bo Nix?
For Bo Nix?
Yeah, I'm saying, do you think this matchup against the Steelers is any easier than Seattle was last week?
No, I mean, but Denver's just a corpse. I have no.
Right.
I like Bo Nix too. I'm just not messing around with anything Denver related.
Well, I'm more making the argument that Najee Harris volume in this game could be massive if the offense is actually on the field or getting the ball back frequently. He had 20 carries last game. I know Jaylen Warren was dealing with that hamstring injury, so maybe that's why he was limited, and it was like 20-1 split between those guys. But I don't think 1 week is going to make a difference to where now next week it's a 50-50 timeshare at all.
I agree with that. I want to see what's going on with Fields. I worry a little bit.
Why? I don't know why it matters with Najee, honestly.
Fields, it's like 15 carries going.
And Najee still had 20.
Yeah, but there's such ineffective touches. I want dump offs. I want a handful of targets.
How crazy is that, though, that Najee had 20 and Fields had 14?
I mean, the Steelers they destroy the game as a whole. Like, they just crater the entire game.
What if it's Russell Wilson?
That would help. I would have more interest in Najee then.
All right. Who are you going at the bottom?
Tony Pollard.
It is Pollard for you?
Yeah, just by default. We'll see what opens up. We will totally see what opens up. Obviously, and we don't need to spend time on this, if McCaffrey's out, Jordan Mason will be very popular at 5,200.
I'm going to go J.K. Dobbins.
Okay. That makes sense.
We don't have ownership yet. So
it's very early. It's first look.
Give me Dobbins for now. We both always kind of love this guy, and then he always gets hurt.
Root for him. I just worry.
And by the way, guys, all of the tools, the tools that, Huge Beats hit us up on Twitter and then here with the $50 super chat earlier saying that, is the best decision he ever made. Grabbing these tools, took down 10K in week 1. Actually, Mike, 12.5K with the tools as well, 12.5K in the $3. Someone with the Stokastic avatar won that contest as well. It's going to make a massive difference in the way you build. There's no question. And you're just going to become better because of it. And you're going to build better lineups. And ultimately, it's going to work in your favor. It's no surprise that we had multiple Millie winners with the tools last week, just in the NFL. A Millie winner in MLB using the Stokastic tools, Coach S, just 2 weeks ago. So I don't know what you're waiting for. Links in the description and in chat. And by the way, there's a million different, I shouldn't say this to be overwhelming. No, there's 4 different packages, right? So you could get in for as low as $20, or you pay all the way up to Sims Max and get, the full catalog of everything we have. But the NFL core package, weekly or monthly, Ben, the only difference between that and the more expensive, far more expensive Sims Max package is that you just can't generate as many lineups in the contest generator or sim as many lineups. Everything else is exactly the same. And it's more than a competitive price with the rest of the industry when you consider that they don't have the tools that we have.
The number one request that I've gotten over the years for our stuff is, I know it's super advanced. I know it's super sick. I just don't know if it would work for what I do. I play 10 lineups or 8 lineups or 12 lineups. So, I'm not a professional player. And we went back and we revamped the packages to fit that. It doesn't matter what type of player you are now. That just matters with the options that you have. Right here, you have 4 different paths for different types of players, and the price points correlate for what type of player you are. Like, you shouldn't have to pay for Sims Max if you're not going to need that many lineups. Don't worry about it. Go find the light package, and it works perfectly for you, and it's giving you the single lineup simulator. It's giving you that ownership and DFS projections. That's the beautiful thing about this, is I've seen so many messages of, I found the right tools for my game. I don't have to adjust what I'm doing. And that's so cool, because everyone should be able to use these tools, but you shouldn't have to change what you want to do philosophically to use them.
And we made that adjustment, and we said,
we
you know what, now we'll all, make sure that there's something for anybody, no matter what their level of play is. And so even if you tried it before and you're like, it wasn't worth it at the price for what I was paying, or this, now at the very least, check it out. There's something there for everybody. Link in the description and in the chat for all of these packages. And if you ever, jump into the Discord, make sure you're in the Discord. Even if you don't want to talk a ton, ask questions, tutorials, all that stuff will go a really long way. All right. So wide receivers. Oh, yeah, we picked our lower tier running backs. Let's go wide receivers here. Up top, I'm just going to tell you my guy out of the gate. You have to know who it is above 7K.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I'll go St. Brown.
What's that?
I'm going St. Brown.
Okay. I love this tier. Like, I like Garrett Wilson. I think you get a huge bounce back game from Garrett Wilson this week.
I also could make that case. Yeah. I mean, it's funny you say bounce back, and I totally get it. He had 11 targets still.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. As far as, I don't mean volume bounce back. I'm talking bounce back in terms of like production. This is a 1,000-yard receiver in each of his first 2 years, and his quarterbacks were Mike White, Trevor Siemian, Zach Wilson, pre-Browns Joe Flacco, and Tim Boyle, and 4 snaps of Aaron Rodgers. I know Rodgers wasn't great yesterday. Tough matchup on the road. First game back after that injury a year ago. I like this is going to be real tough for me. So you're going, I'm on Ross St. Brown. Cooper Kupp had what did he have? 21 targets last week.
Massive.
He had more completions than 4 quarterbacks, or more receptions than 4 quarterbacks had completions last week.
That's insane.
It's insane. Like, if Puka Nacua is not in this lineup, and he won't be, I just don't see and there will be people that are like, oh, well, Cooper Kupp always struggles against Arizona. There is nothing to suggest that this Arizona secondary, with a lot of creative name guys, can contain him, Ben. There's nothing there.
No, definitely not. This will be, we're not going to dive too much into the line of instruction, but there will be the Kyron Kupp no quarterback build is like the tailor-made running back wide receiver that we saw last year do serious damage.
My best lineup, you'll remember this. It was in the $100 spy. My best lineup last year. I didn't bink anything. I think I came in like top 5 or something in that, was Puka, Kyron, no Stafford.
Yep. That always works with the Rams because Stafford can't move.
Yep. That was it. And I love that thinking. I don't know how chalky it'll be, but my guess is it still won't be as chalky. People still don't love doing that. They still don't love going running back, receiver, no quarterback. This might end up being the best spot to do that all year.
It really could be.
Would you consider it with Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson? That's the question.
Also, it's the same thing. Rodgers doesn't move, and you've got 2 alphas. Yeah, I would.
I would too. And I think that'll be way less popular.
That definitely will be less popular for sure.
If Wilson had a 14 target game, it wouldn't shock me. The only difference there is game script. You know, I I always like Mike Evans as well. I think he's probably the odd man out because you can't count on the same volume that you can with Wilson and, you know, predominantly Kupp, but just an elite deep threat, a perennial 1,000-yard receiver, double-digit touchdown guy. Baker Mayfield's clear, undisputed red zone target. That is true. There's nobody he looks to more than Evans in the red zone, in the end zone. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, even at the elevated price point over those guys, is still your number one. So tell me why. Actually, can I guess?
Please.
You think he'll be under-owned, vastly under-owned, despite a great matchup because of last week's performance against the Rams?
He didn't drop under 8K. He was on an island game, so his lackluster performance was magnified by showdown mentality. Everybody played him because he was like 60% on, as he should have been. He did absolutely nothing. He's on an offense that's just going to happen. There's a lot of mouths to feed. He's going to have games like that, and then he's going to have games where he has 10 for 130 and 3 against Tampa secondary at home, target-rich environment. The ownership has to come with it, but if it does, in a good way, I'm saying, I like St. Brown a lot. Kupp's the obvious play, and that furthers my interest in him.
I totally get where you're coming from here. But I do have one. Let me play devil's advocate for 1 second, okay?
Please.
Because I get the logic. Last year, they had no other receivers. All it was Amon-Ra St. Brown, a rookie Sam Laporta. And, you know, I love Sam Laporta. But still, it's still like a rookie tight end. Mm-hmm. And then besides that, who did they have? Nobody reliable. Nobody. Jameson Williams looked really, really good. You know, a lot of separation. None of those drops that we worried about in previous seasons, which were, you know, plaguing him. And obviously the suspension. And he was targeted 9 times. Now, I don't think Jameson Williams is going to finish the season with the highest target share in Detroit. But if they have a legitimate, and this is a former top, where was he? He was a first rounder, right? Jameson Williams was a first rounder.
Yeah, he's a lot of pedigree for sure.
I think it's possible that you may be looking at Amon-Ra St. Brown later in the year, and he's actually a little bit overpriced at 8,100 because Jameson Williams is on this team now getting a lot of work. And also you have Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, both of them. I don't know. I think the only argument could be that he might be a little bit overpriced despite the spot.
I hope he's overpriced. That's fine because the ownership should come correlated with it. I don't disagree with any of that. I don't think it's impossible that Jameson Williams plays a Gabe Davis-like role for this team, where he has like 2 or 3 monster games, and then there's going to be games where Jameson Williams has, 3 targets and he does nothing.
I don't look at him like that. I mean,
that's going to be the key. If he's consistently, that good, then there's going to be major problems because Gibbs is there as well. Like,
I also think this could just be another one of those 13 target for Amon-Ra St. Brown games. So I hear you. But I think that the Jameson Williams, basically arrival game could throw a wrench into the works. I also think it tamps down Amon-Ra St. Brown's ownership a lot.
That's all. That's the key. We'll revisit on Sunday. Absolutely.
For sure. Top tier, give me, I'll go with the low hanging fruit. Give me Cooper Kupp.
Mid tier for me, I'll keep it pretty simple. I'll go Rashee Rice. If you're not playing Pacheco, he's just an obvious target.
Yeah, Rashee Rice is great. I like Chris Godwin in a shootout. 6K, I think, is a great flat 6K price in a potential shootout. 51.5 point total there. I wonder if Jaden Reed, if the juice is worth the squeeze on Jaden Reed. Well, hear me out. Do they just try to use him in every way possible in a game like this with Malik Willis at court? That's my only thinking. I might be trying to, as you would say, mega mind genius this one, but do you think that's a possibility?
It's definitely a possibility. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. The chat's talking about, and I get why they're talking about Jameson Williams like this, but this is applicable to Jaden Reed. Yeah, if he turns into Debo, sure. Like they give him 6 carries and they give him a bunch. I just don't. I worry that the entire offense is absolutely crippled because of this.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't disagree that it's going to be crippled because Jordan Love against Philly looked nice. He looked good. He missed a couple throws, but for the most
He's
part,
good.
he looked good. I don't love the mid range.
Me neither.
Pittman had a 40+% target share last week, but still not the best matchup. Yeah, it's still basically a rookie quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah. 40% target share. It sounds really good. And then you realize that it was on 19 attempts. And
correct.
it's like,
but still 8 targets when you consider that. I guess the way I look at this is if you scale it up and you say, well, okay, like what if he does throw 30 times? Does Pittman have 14 targets? Just or 12 targets, 13 targets?
that's the key. Like, does his target share normalize to like 25%?
Exactly. Right. All right. So you're going Rice. That was my guy here. I'm going to go Godwin, I think. 6K there is really nice.
It's a great game. It's just a great game environment. Tampa's going to be throwing. I think they'll be playing catch up. I get it.
I love the low tier here. I love it. Sub 6K. You already know who my guy is going to be here, but I could pick 1,000 of them.
Who, Jameson Williams?
No, but I like Jameson Williams for sure. Malik Neighbors.
Okay.
I'm going right back to the well with Neighbors, and I don't have any concerns about it. I think you're going to still see some big games from him. He played 100% of snaps in week 1 as a rookie making his debut in the NFL, right? Like you can shit on it all you want. It's not going to stop me at all. Like I just think there's too much upside there at sub 6K against the Wash. Like, Steven said maybe Washington could basically neutralize Danny Jones for sure. Or it's just kind of in the middle, but then you've still got a great game from Malik Neighbors. The guy played every single snap in this game. Need I say more?
Oh, I listen, totally get it. I won't copy you with Neighbors. I'll go Brian Thomas.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I could say Kirk. I respect the matchup. Just think this is an explode. Honestly, I could have gone Vlad right above him. I'm really bullish on him in general in for the Chargers, but I'm gonna go Brian Thomas. I just like the spot, 4,800. I think he's got some home run upside. He was another wide receiver that looked pretty good in his rookie debut, and him and Kirk are going to be interchangeable pieces. I'm still okay with Jacksonville. If I get to Loughran stacks, he'll probably be in them.
I like it. Give me a couple of other guys to talk about here. I'll probably go back to some Terry McLaurin.
Can't go worse.
Against the no, it can't. George Pickens is another one. He's their only good receiving option, and he's good. Like, he's good. Had he not stepped out of bounds a tiny bit on that one, you're picking up another, 25 yards on that one play. Metcalf is sub 6K in this game. Metcalf is sub 6K. Their offense looked terrible in the passing game last week, by the way.
Yeah. Better matchup. He drew Surtain.
I know. Oh, for sure. And that's why I'm saying it at below 6K. This is going to be probably the cheapest you get Metcalf all season long.
Yep.
How about Jameson Williams is one, Terry McLaurin, Pickens, Malik Neighbors. Dortch is 4,600. He was used last week. I just don't love the upside there. It's like, yeah, you get targets, but is it, are they valuable enough?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not messing. Not Seattle, Arizona. There's still a lot of questions in that. Wilson caught a touchdown. Dortch is there. Harrison. Obviously, McBride, a little suspicious.
I feel the same about Wan'Dale Robinson. He had a lot of targets, but it's always like 2 yards deep.
Yeah, I'm not. And there are cheapies down here. I just don't know how much I'll have to do that. Like, yes, Lazard is 3,400. I won't be playing him. He didn't do anything. He just
I'm
happened to
not playing
catch.
Lazard this week.
Yeah.
What about
Um,
Adonai Mitchell? A lot of deep targets, a lot of nothing great. Assuming Josh Downs is still out, would you play him at 4K?
yeah, I'd rather play him. Gonna be a boom bust type player, but I don't know how. Again, I'll have to see how tight pricing is when I build, but I don't
Right.
anticipate needing to punt.
If you need cheap options, I think Jalen McMillan's in play.
But it
Why
had 2
not?
touchdowns.
Yeah, why not? And he played a ton of snaps. He's the clear wide receiver 3. This game has a 51.5 point total. KJ Osborne was the leading receiver for the Patriots. I'm still not. Yeah, I don't want to do that.
No.
And one more for you. What about, and Bateman actually had 3 deep targets last game. Very interesting, but I don't think they need to throw as much. And he's basically the 4th option on this team. I have one more before we move on. What about Lad McConkey? Did you see that touchdown? That was beautiful.
Yeah. No, I mentioned that I honestly, when I was doing my tier, it was him or Brian Thomas for my
Oh,
choice.
I'm sorry,
Lad's
I missed
just
that.
good. He's a good player. You know how I feel about him.
Mhm.
I was
You're the
talking in
one
the
that told
offseason.
me, like, hey, I love this guy coming into the league.
He can stay healthy. He's a player. He's just got a knack for it. He just like knows what he's doing.
McConkey's kind of interesting. I
Yeah,
I
he's
actually
just
like
good.
him in this spot.
He's a good player.
And he, look, he played 67% of snaps. It's just Herbert's not going to throw a lot. That's the thing. They're not going to throw a lot, especially in this game. The volume's not
That's
going to
just
be.
the nature of it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, tight ends, man. Let's go. Oh wait, did we give them? You gave yours
Yeah.
out. I gave mine out. All right, tight ends. By the way, guys, I've said it once. I'll say it a million times. Bet365, their promos right now are pretty outrageous. Pretty outrageous. The type of boost that they're giving out in the NFL, way better. Like I love betting at Caesars because they haven't really hit the limits as hard as others. And a lot of these books are going to do that, but you get in while the getting's good. But their promos stink. And BetMGM, I mean, so many of these, they just have garbage promos week to week. And the sign-up bonuses for so many of these are routinely not great. Bet365 right now, if you're in one of those states, I don't know, Jordan, if you have the states that you can throw up on the screen to make it easier for people so they don't have to find out for themselves. But it's bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets instantly. You click the link, takes you there, you deposit $10, you bet $5, and you've got $200 in bonus bets to hopefully throw on a Derrick Henry 2+ touchdown prop at big plus money. We'll see. Not all of it, of course. Once the bet settles, once that $5 bet settles, that's all you have to bet. Only half of the $10 deposit. You now have $200 in bonus bets. But on top of that, like I said, Ben, we've had wild boosts. Like Lamar Jackson, 1+ touchdowns was even money. The other day they had one that was boosted from like minus 450 to even money again. They have if your team goes up by 17 and they end up losing, you win anyway, which would have helped me out a lot with Tennessee last week. They just have a lot of really good promos, a lot of good boosts, and the best sign up offer right now in the industry, hands down.
Just another great way. Again, there's so many tough markets. Take the easy ones. When you can get edges like that, get a little extra money for your bankroll and use it on a home run parlay. And if you lose, it didn't come out of your other bankroll. And if you win, you may have a season maker.
I did it on Luis Robert to double at I think it was to double a home run in his next at bat. I if my $5 bet was a live
Dear
live
God.
plate appearance bet at plus 1,800 and it cashed.
Yeah, so then you get it on top of yeah, it's just a good, like I said, there are these opportunities, and if you're aware of what's going on, you can have those little boosts and they add up over time very quickly. $200 in the bankroll.
Yep.
I know I could certainly use that, but
Yep.
yeah, it's not bad. You got to be 21 plus, 18 or older.
And if
You
you
have
have
a
a
gambling
gambling problem, call or text 1-800.
We'll do it together.
Also, I think the bets, make sure they expire in a few days because my dumbass lost some of them because I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Breed. All right. Tight end.
You ready? Good tight end. Sam Laporta, Kelsey, McBride, and Kittle are all above that 5,500 range. Is this a spot you live in, or do we go cheaper? I have some value this week.
I don't think you have to live up here, but I'll go right back to McBride. I love that game. He's going to be busy. He's just a player. 6K is not too much for him. I'll keep it very simple. Tight end is like that. You've got him. You've got Likely at 48. I mean, people are going to go there. I think you could actually go to Mark Andrews at 5K. But I'm interested to see who you have as value.
Well, first off, I have a yes or no question for you. If you'd like to expand, feel free. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Is Sam Laporta, with the new kind of makeup of this team and the emergence of Jameson Williams? I know it's one game, but I do believe Jameson Williams has emerged. Okay, I'm just throwing it out there. I do believe he has. I think he's good. Do you think Sam Laporta is overpriced?
Yes.
Me too. I think he should probably be like George Kittle range.
I agree. He's a good tight end, but he's not the most, he shouldn't be the most expensive tight end.
Agreed. Is Travis Kelce a candidate to be underowned after week 1 and should be played heavily this week? Yes or no?
Candidate to be underowned, should be played heavily? No, in my opinion.
Trey McBride is your number 1 at this tier?
He is.
I think I'd have to do the same, especially after seeing the usage on Marvin Harrison Jr. last week.
McBride's just a player.
Yep. Yeah. Man. Any Evan Ingram love this week?
Playable, particularly with Lawrence. It was an underwhelming performance across the board for Jacksonville. One of my bigger misses last week. I thought they'd do a lot more with that matchup.
Mid-tier. I will get to the value in a second. Fortunately, we'll only take a second because the mid-tier sucks. There are going to be people that chase Isaiah Likely this week. I can't do it. It's twofold. One, I don't think they have to throw nearly as much and from behind. I love Isaiah Likely. I think Isaiah Likely's very good. Very good. This wasn't a one-time thing. Anyone who's followed him, particularly when Andrews was out, knows that he's good. He has the pedigree. But I'm also not convinced that Mark Andrews is just going to be terrible forever. You know, they had to bring him in a lot. Now that I think about this, though, against this Vegas pass rush, because that's their biggest strength on defense is the pass rush, hands down. You know, are you just going to see more? Because yeah, I'm again, this is the first look. We're laying the foundation, and I'm thinking of things as we go. That biggest weakness for Baltimore is that offensive line. So maybe I'm just more out on Henry and more out on Andrews as I think this through.
Yeah, it's not a range that I really want to make some big decisions. I'll probably punt it in the sense, just let the Sims do their work, because I don't think Andrews is on a macro level like completely washed, but I don't think he automatically bounces back either. I have some interest. I'm open-minded to it, but I'll keep it pretty even keeled for the time being.
So then who would your mid-range guy be?
So mid-range, I mean, there like is no mid-range. I would go to the other side of the game.
You can go down to like 3,500 if you want.
I'll go to Bowers.
Okay. I'm going to go Cade Otton at 3,600.
Okay.
He wasn't good last week, but it's a matchup in a game with a 51.5 point total. Cade Otton was on the field for 90% almost of the time. So could be worse. You had a couple spots where you hit Cade Otton last year and it worked out.
Yeah, he's just, when you're an attachment to a prolific touchdown equity offense, tight end's a huge variance position, and that's because of the touchdowns. Are you playing Schoonmaker?
It depends. It depends if he gets the start. If that's the case, then I'd be fine with it. By the way, Cade Otton ran 30 routes last week. That was higher than Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So that just kind of solidifies the point of, hey, if he does have one of those decent games, gets a touchdown, let's do it. I don't know. You know who I was actually looking at? And I have Schoonmaker on there as an option as well. What about Kobe Parkinson?
So he was doing some things last week a little bit when I was checking in on that game.
He had all of the snaps essentially for the Rams. He was on the field. He got targets. And yeah, obviously Cooper Kupp is the clear number one, but you can't throw to Cooper Kupp 100% of the time,
No.
right? I mean, Parkinson ran 42 routes in that game, 51 for Cooper Kupp, 47 for Demarcus Robinson. 5 targets was right behind Demarcus Robinson and Tyler Johnson. I actually think Parkinson looks okay in this spot against Arizona. He's dirt cheap as well.
Yeah, that's a good find. Again, he could be an interesting attachment. You could do some things. You could have yeah, there's a lot you could do with that. So that's a good call out. You can have him. I'll take the blind shot with Schoonmaker with the asterisk. Injury news has to break our way. If he gets the opportunity, I'll play him.
Okay, I like it. Give me Colby Parkinson. Don't sleep on Theo Johnson either. A couple of bad plays and a drop and everything, but the guy is highly athletic. 86% of snaps. Route run on I think it was 75% or so of dropbacks in that game, maybe more. Actually more. So Theo Johnson, don't sleep on him. He's dirt cheap at $2,600. Great attachment to that Danny Jones stack if you're as crazy as I am. All right, let's round this one out. Favorite defense under 3K. And as always, guys, make sure to go to stokastic.com/HOF. Download that avatar, 1 of 6. I saw Huge Beats had one of the new ones. It makes me happy seeing those when he won that 10K. Yeah. You don't only win one, you can win more than once a year now. It's huge. You get a free month if you finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, as long as you're rocking the avatar wherever it is you play. Doesn't matter if your entry is 10 cents or $100. Win a second time, get that silver tier, another $200 value Sims Max package of whatever you want, plus another week for any other sport running concurrently. So you can have basketball and football at the same time. Third time, what about a Sims All Access? Sims Max All Access for the month. Every tool we have on the site for every sport, $550 value. And then Jordan, show them the rings. Show them the rings if they hit the 20K. Show them the Ring of Honor. Just absolute. Look at them, Ben. Look at
That
those.
is pretty sick.
They really are. They're pretty fucking cool, dude. Everyone's been super happy with them that's gotten them as well. So yeah, check it out. All you got to do is stokastic.com/HOF. Grab one of those avatars, use it wherever it is you play. Defense under 3K for me. Hey, give me. There's a few here actually that I think are viable.
Definitely.
I'm tempted to go Patriots. I'm tempted to go Denver against that Pittsburgh offense, especially if Russell Wilson starts. I'll leave a couple for you there, but I think there's a few that are live. I think I'm going to be living down below 3K this week.
Denver would be, I think, the obvious one. I think Arizona's in play at the minimum.
Interesting.
Yeah. If you don't play, obviously, I'm not going to play like Kyron and Cup and then play Arizona, but that's a high variance game. Like Stafford can make some mistakes. You don't need much. If you build differently, I'd punt with Arizona.
Okay. There's a lot under. Last week there wasn't. This week there's a lot under that range.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yep.
And also I'll say it's funny too, because you look at the Titans last week. Like, doesn't it feel like their defense should have been way better because they didn't allow any touchdowns on defense? I had so many Titans lineups.
The whole thing was frustrating.
Appreciate you guys hanging out. As always, another fun show. If you ever want to listen in podcast form, you know you can. If you don't mind, hit that thumbs up on the way out. Get us north of 200 here. And follow Ben at JazzRaz Bets over on Twitter, me at Laffy_D. Come find us over in the marketplace. Tails over at OddsShopper. If you're trying to bet, have some fun. Join a community. 50% off the first week for both of us. Oddshopper.com. You'll see it right there. Maybe it's in the description as well. I mean, we would absolutely love to have you guys over there. And we hit some absolute bangers this week. Go to oddshopper.com. Click on the marketplace over on Tails. Ben's is JazzRaz 50.
Yep.
And mine's NFL 24. Remember that, Come check it out. Shout us out in the Discord. We'd absolutely love to have you there. Sweating DFS is fun, but sweating bets is more fun in the sense that you all win. You can all
Together.
win together. That's the biggest difference, right? It's not like you have this, I have this. We both have Tampa stacks, but not the same stack, not the same tournament. If you and I are both on, you know, a massive long shot and hit it together with the rest of the community, that feeling to celebrate together is just incredible.
It's awesome. And yeah, brand new, literally brand new. Like if you go to oddchopper.com, brand new layout this morning.
Hopefully
I don't
we'll
even know if you've seen it.
I'm the one that literally requested it yesterday.
Well, there you go. So you've seen it. Good.
But no,
I picked
hold on. But I actually havenn't seen it. There it is. Tails by
it's nice.
Oddshot. Yeah,
It's nice.
let's go. We'll see you guys back here for the next one. Shout out to Jordan for producing. Peace.